Name, Shouhou, namesake / what her name means, auspicious phoenix, or happy phoenix, laid down, the 3rd of December 1934, launched, the 1st of June 1935, commissioned, the 30th of November 1941, fate, sunk by air attack, the 7th of May 1942. General characteristics, as converted, class and type, Shouhou class aircraft carrier, displacement, 11,443 tons, 11,262 long tons, standard, length, 205.5 meters, 674 feet 2 inches, beam, 18.2 meters, 59 feet 8 inches, draft, 6.6 meters, 21 feet 7 inches, installed power, 52,000 shp. 39,000 kilowatts, 4x boilers, propulsion, 2x shafts, 2x geared steam turbines, speed 28 knots, 52 kilometers per hour. 32 miles per hour, range 7,800 nmi, 14,400 kilometers. 9,000 miles, at 18 knots, 33 kilometers per hour. 21 miles per hour, complement, 785 crew members, armament, 4x twin 12.7 cm / 40 type 89 guns, 4x twin type 96, 25mm anti-aircraft guns, aircraft carried, 30, aviation facilities. 2x aircraft elevators. Shouhou was a light aircraft carrier of the Imperial Japanese Navy. Originally built as the submarine support ship. In the late 1930s, she was converted before the Pacific War into an aircraft carrier and renamed. Completed in early 1942, the ship supported the invasion forces in Operation MO, the invasion of Port Moresby, New Guinea, and was sunk by American carrier aircraft on her first combat operation during the Battle of the Coral Sea on the 7th of May. Shouhou was the first Japanese aircraft carrier to be sunk during World War II. Shouhou and her sister Shouhou were designed to be easily modified as an oil tanker, submarine tender, or aircraft carrier as needed. Shouhou was laid down by the Yokosuka Naval Arsenal on the 3rd of December 1934 as the submarine tender. She was launched on the 1st of June 1935 and completed on the 15th of January 1939. Not long after the ship was initially completed, she began reconstruction as an aircraft carrier in 1941. Her superstructure was removed and replaced by a flight deck with a hangar for her aircraft below. Renamed Shouhou, the conversion was finished on the 26th of January 1942. After her conversion, Shouhou had a length of 205.5 meters, 674 ft 2 inches, overall. She had a beam of 18.2 meters, 59 ft 8 inches, and a draft of 6.58 meters, 21 ft 7 inches. She displaced 11,443 tons, 11,262 long tons, at standard load. As part of her conversion, her original diesel engines, which had given her a top speed of 29 knots, 54 kilometers per hour, 33 miles per hour, were replaced by a pair of destroyer-type geared steam turbine sets with a total of 52,000 shaft horsepower, 39,000 kilowatts, each driving one propeller. Steam was provided by 4 Campan water tube boilers, and Shouhou now had a maximum speed of 28 knots, 52 kilometers per hour, 32 miles per hour. The boilers exhausted through a single downturned starboard funnel, and she carried 2,642 tons, 2,600 long tons, of fuel oil, giving her a range of 7,800 nautical miles, 14,400 kilometers. 9,000 miles, at a speed of 18 knots, 33 kilometers per hour. 21 miles per hour. Her crew numbered 785 officers and men. Shouhou's flight deck was 180 meters, 590 ft 6 inches, long and had a maximum width of 23 meters, 75 ft 6 inches. The ship was designed with a single hangar 124 meters, 406 ft 10 inches, long and 18 meters, 59 feet, wide. The hangar was served by 2 octagonal centerline aircraft elevators. The forward elevator was 13 by 12 meters, 42 ft 8 in by 39 ft 4 inches in size, and the smaller rear elevator measured 12 by 10.8 meters, 39 ft 4 in by 35 ft 5 inches. She had a resting gear with 6 cables, but she was not fitted with an aircraft catapult. Shouhou was a flush deck design and lacked an island superstructure. She was designed to operate 30 aircraft. The ship's primary armament consisted of 840 caliber 12.7 cm Type 89 anti-aircraft AA guns in twin mounts on sponsons along the sides of the hull. Shouhou was also initially equipped with 4 twin 25mm Type 96 light AA guns, also in sponsons along the sides of the hull. Shouhou was commissioned on the 30th of November 1941 and Captain Ishinasu Kaizawa became her commanding officer. While still fitting out, the ship was assigned to the 4th Carrier Division of the 1st Air Fleet on the 22nd of December. On the 4th of February 1942, she ferried aircraft to Truk, where she remained until the 11th of April, before returning to Yokosuka. In late April 1942, Shouhou was assigned to Operation MO, and arrived in Truk on the 29th of April. The following day, she departed Truk with the cruisers Aoba, Kinugasa, Furutaka, and Kako of Cruiser Division 6 under the command of Rear Admiral Aritomo Gotao. They formed the main force of the operation. Due to aircraft shortages, her aircraft complement consisted of only 4 obsolete Mitsubishi A5M4 Claude and 8 modern Mitsubishi A6M20 fighters plus 6 Nakajima B5N2 Cape torpedo bombers. Covering the other element of Operation MO was the striking force, that consisted of the fleet carriers Shoukaku and Zukaku. After covering the landings on Tulagi on the 3rd of May, Shouhou headed north to cover the invasion convoy the next day, and was not present when aircraft from the American carrier Yorktown attacked Japanese shipping at Tulagi. This airstrike confirmed that at least one American carrier was in the vicinity, but the Japanese had no idea of its location. They launched a number of reconnaissance aircraft the following day to search for the Americans, but without result. One Koranishi H-6K Mavis flying boat spotted Yorktown, but was shot down by one of Yorktown's Grumman F-4F Wildcat fighters before she could radio a report. U.S. Army Air Forces, USAAF, aircraft spotted Shouhou southwest of Bougainville Island on the 5th of May, but she was too far north to be attacked by the American carriers, which were refueling. That day, Rear Admiral Frank Jack Fletcher received magic intelligence that placed the 3 Japanese carriers known to be involved in Operation MO near Bougainville, and predicted the 10th of May as the date of the invasion. It also predicted airstrikes by the Japanese carriers in support of the invasion several days before the 10th of May. Based on this information, Fletcher planned to complete refueling his ships on the 6th of May, and move closer to the eastern tip of New Guinea to be in a position to locate and attack Japanese forces on the 7th of May. Another H-6K spotted the Americans during the morning of the 6th of May and successfully shadowed them until 2 p.m. The Japanese, however, were unwilling or unable to launch airstrikes in poor weather, or without updated spot reports. Both sides believed they knew where the other force was, and expected to fight the next day. The Japanese were the first to spot the Americans when one aircraft found the oil in Iyasho escorted by the destroyer Sims at 0722, south of the strike force. These ships were misidentified as a carrier and a cruiser, and the carriers Shouhou and Zukaku launched an airstrike 40 minutes later that sank Sims and damaged Iyasho badly enough that she had to be scuttled a few days later. The American carriers were west of the strike force, not south, and they were spotted by other Japanese aircraft shortly after the carriers had launched their attack on Iyasho and Sims. American reconnaissance aircraft reported 2 Japanese heavy cruisers northeast of Mishima Island in the Laojiade archipelago off the eastern tip of New Guinea at 7:35 am and 2 carriers at 8:15 am. An hour later, Fletcher ordered an airstrike launched, believing that the 2 carriers reported were Shouhou and Zukaku. Lexington and Yorktown launched a total of 53 Douglas SBD Dauntless dive bombers and 22 Douglas TBD Devastator torpedo planes escorted by 18 F-4F Wildcats. The 0815 report turned out to be miscoded, as the pilot had intended to report 2 heavy cruisers, but USAAF aircraft had spotted Shouhou, her escorts and the invasion convoy in the meantime. As the latest spot report plotted only 30 nautical miles, 56 kilometers, 35 miles, away from the 0815 report, the aircraft en route were diverted to this new target. Shouhou and the rest of the main force was spotted by aircraft from Lexington at 10:40. At this time, Shouhou's Combat Air Patrol, CAP, consisted of 2 A5Ms and 1 A6M0. The Dauntlesses began their attack at 11:10 am as the 3 Japanese fighters attacked them in their dive. None of the dive bombers hit Shouhou, which was maneuvering to avoid their bombs. One Dauntless was shot down by the Zero after it had pulled out of its dive, and several others were damaged. The carrier launched 3 more Zeros immediately after this attack to reinforce its cap. The second wave of Dauntlesses began their attack at 11:18 am, and they hit Shouhou twice with 1,000-pound, 450 kilograms, bombs. These penetrated the ship's flight deck and burst inside her hangars, setting the fueled and armed aircraft there on fire. A minute later, the Devastators began dropping their torpedoes from both sides of the ship. They hit Shouhou 5 times, and the damage from the hits knocked out her steering and power. In addition, the hits flooded both engine and boiler rooms. Yorktown's aircraft trailed those from Lexington, and the former's Dauntlesses began their attacks at 11:25 am, hitting Shouhou with another 11 1,000-pound bombs by Japanese accounts, and the carrier came to a complete stop. Yorktown's Devastators trailed the rest of her aircraft and attacked at 11:29 am. They claimed 10 hits, although Japanese accounts acknowledge only 2. As the Devastators were exiting the area, they were attacked by the cap, but the Wildcats protecting the torpedo bombers shot down 2 A5Ms and an A6M0. Total American losses to all causes were 3 Dauntlesses. After his attack, Lieutenant Commander Robert E. Dixon, commander of Lexington's dive bombers, radioed his famous message to the American carriers, "Scratch one flat top." With Shouhou hit by no fewer than 13 bombs and 7 torpedoes, Captain Izawa ordered the ship abandoned at 11:31 am. She sank 4 minutes later. Some 300 men successfully abandoned the ship, but they had to wait to be rescued as Gotao ordered his remaining ships to head north at high speed to avoid any further airstrikes. Around 2 p.m., he ordered the destroyer Suzunomi to return to the scene and rescue the survivors. She found only 203, including Captain Izawa. The rest of her crew of 834 died during the attack, or in the water awaiting rescue. Shouhou was the first Japanese aircraft carrier lost during the war. Her name was mistransliterated by the Americans as Ryukaku,